last year we did stand on stage and say we were going to move from a volume to a value-based program. Frankly, that's actually something that we had envisaged we wanted to do over 2 years ago. But 2 years ago we really didn't have the infrastructure or the pricing structure or the operational structure available to be able to make that shift as fast as we would like to have done. A year or so ago we thought we were going to be in a much better shape moving forward, and we are. So we've started to make that shift from a volume-based to a value-based program. Today our volume-based program is based on volume and certifications and compliance and a bunch of things. But I would call it, if you look at the continuum of volume to value, I would say we're a third of the way along that continuum already anyway, with the current program structure. We want to get ourselves much further along the road to a value-based program, which means the importance of volume decreases, the importance of competence, of general competence, specialization, customer satisfaction, growth, new customer acquisition, new product enablement. And I think a lot of that sits on top of a thing we would call kind of brand stewardship. We want people to feel as passionate about the brand and our customers as we do. And that's not in any way an insult to our partners. I think many of them do, but we would like more of them to feel that way, actually. So we've made very good progress towards it, but we're not going to throw a hard switch. We entered the new year on the 1st of this month, 1st of October, and we don't believe in throwing a hard binary switch from one state to another. It's too much of a shock to the system. So what we're going to do is we're going to introduce things during the course of this year and next year. So 2 things did change on the 1st of October. Customer satisfaction is now a requirement. The partners have to have a minimum number of customer satisfaction surveys. It has to be at a minimum threshold. We've also made a change from BDF to MDF. BDF stood for Business Development Funds, and MDF stands for Market Development Funds. The BDF funds were actually contractual entitlement, so every partner was entitled to get a certain amount of money. What that meant was a lot of that money was unspent because they couldn't spend it, didn't know how to spend it, didn't have the marketing capability, the list goes on. So we've moved all of our marketing funding to a discretionary funding, so there is no entitlement anymore. The intent is not to reduce the marketing spend in the channel, it's to at least remain net neutral. But what it means is some partners are going to get 0 and some partners are going to get a lot more than they had previously, depending on how well their business plan is aligned with what we're trying to do at Avaya. Do we have agreed goals? Do we have agreed targets? Do we have tactics and actions behind it? And if we do, then I think there's more money available than what there was previously. So those are 2 fairly big changes that cut in on the 1st of October. We have also successfully trialled 3 months ago a new pricing structure. We trialled that in Australia. We chose Australia because it's a very good mix of heritage red and heritage blue business. So it's a good mix of the 2, a real test of a pricing structure. And it takes the structure from 1,400 part numbers down to 11. And when you do that, yeah, it's a I don't even think I can come up with the verbiage to describe the magnitude of that change. What it means is we have much greater control over our price structure and how we recognise discounting. Today it's very difficult for us to recognise discounting, additional discounts, by capability or by competency. There's too many levers and buttons to push with 1,400 categories. With 11, we're going to have a different way in which we can price to our partner community. So as the price list cuts in during the course of this year, when we get to the 1st of October next year, then we can discount truly by value as opposed to a flat line basis. It's just a real snapshot on some of the bigger ticket items we've been working on, but it's been a pretty busy year actually. We wrestled with this quite a lot actually as to where to roll first of all. We tested in Australia for the blue and the red reason I described. The other reason is if it doesn't work properly, Australians will tell you. They will not hold back as to what they think. So we are going to go with Asia first of all, and thereafter we're probably going to go with Europe, albeit there was a very, very strong pitch from our Canadian leadership team as to why they wanted the new pricing structure. I've been canned out like immediately. So Asia, then possibly parts of EMEA, all right, albeit the Canadian team is still pushing and saying, you know, come on, it's within North America, roll it into us first of all, because they truly see the benefits of it, actually, and they're very, very keen to do it. Ross was very keen to have the model as soon as possible. I think 6 months before we launch in Asia. I'm being cautious. I think it's 6 months. You know what? It might be quicker, might be longer, but that will be the plan at this moment in time. What it comes to now is down to IT enablement, some automation. What we effectively walked through was the structure of the pricing, all right, and do the partners understand it? Do our people understand it? Can they do constructions from an operational perspective? And does the pricing actually hold water when you compare same set of products under the old pricing structure, same set of products under the new pricing structure? You don't want to see any major differences, all right, because the object of the exercise here is not to change our pricing. The object of the exercise is to become significantly easier to do business with. I mean, I have a crazy dream whereby a partner is with a customer and the customer asks for an indicative price on something, and the partner can actually do that without having to go back to the office and say, yeah, I'll get back to you, do a whole load of configuration work, set another meeting and go back or send them an email. I have this crazy dream where people can go, okay, it's kind of going in the ballpark of X, Y, Z. It might not sound like a big deal, but it's a pretty big dream, and I think we're getting very close to it. Interestingly, you can't completely remove volume. You can't completely remove volume from the equation. All right, and here's the reason why. So let's suppose you get right to the end of on the continuum end, and it's a pure value play, and a financial organisation pitches up and says, okay, we need a system, here's what the system needs to do, we design a solution for them, and it runs for a couple of $1 million, say, or maybe 5 million. You may have some spectacularly qualified partners with the technology, but if they've only ever done an install of half a million or so, all right, then they're not going to go with that partner. So we still have to try and match partners from a size perspective to what the opportunity perspective is in certain conditions. So I think we can get, you know, virtually right to the edge of it, but somewhere in the program you have to have a recognition of that partner's never dealt with a situation of that size, or yes they have, and here's the proof point, here's two previous customers. So whilst it's not an absolute measure, it's got to be in there somewhere, just a recognition they can deal with customers of that size. We spent ages wrestling that one around, actually, and ultimately you can't completely remove it. I would say it's a couple of years out that we've transitioned from a volume-based program to a value-based program. Yeah. What we don't want to do is we don't want to shock the system. I mean, the partners will tell you two things. They'll tell you, don't change the program because they need stability. Also, can you change the program to recognise X, Y, Z? Honestly, yeah. You can have that in the same group. And I completely resonate with what they're saying. They do need stability. We need stability, all right, as well, because you can't keep retraining people on stuff. But at the same time, you have to constantly evolve. And what we try to do is to strike a balance. We do have partner advisory councils. We do meet with our partners an awful lot. And I think at the moment the balance appears to be fine with them.